Hello, my friends, and welcome to Star Wars The Story Of, the series where I explore the tales of those in a galaxy far, far away. In today's tale, we will be exploring the life of Kit Fisto, and how this humble Nautolan went on to become one of the most esteemed Jedi Masters of his era. Kit Fisto was born in the Saldean region of the aquatic planet of Glee Ansem during the Great Peace era of the Galactic Republic. Like many notable Jedi, the Force was strong in his familial line, most notably in his uncle Niad Fisto, who himself would go on to become the head of the Teras Kaze religious order known as the Selai Kazi. Very little is known about Kit's formative years at the Jedi Temple on Coruscant, as neither his clan nor the name of his master have ever been documented. What is known is that he took to his various duties growing up with enthusiasm, often sporting a wide smile when events went his way. With a well-developed sense of humility to go along with that sense of humor, Kit often kept to himself, favoring a solitary existence of contemplation rather than the somewhat bombastic careers of his peers. Following his elevation to knighthood, Fisto sought to study the path of a Jedi consular, the diplomatic branch of the Jedi Order that focused primarily on the development of Force powers over those of the lightsaber. Despite this specialization, Fisto grew to be widely celebrated for his skills with the blade, often regarded amongst the best of his era, mastering the ancient art of Shi-Cho, the first and most basic lightsaber form ever developed. After the tragic murder of Jedi Master Tal in 41 BBY, Kit took over the training of her young Mon Cal Padawan Bant Aaron. While he did not know if he was ready for an apprentice of his own, the Nautolan decided that having an amphibious master would aid Aaron in her growth and recovery from her loss. After training Aaron to knighthood, Fisto was in no hurry to take another Padawan, preferring to attend to his duties at the temple. However, another Mon Cal Padawan would be in his future shortly after being raised to the rank of Jedi Master. Nadar Veb was equal, if not greater than Bant in strength, yet was also strong-willed and forceful, his impulsiveness often running counter to the tenets of the Jedi Code. Despite this, Fisto and Veb flourished as master and apprentice, though the exact nature of their partnership remains shrouded in mystery. As the years went on and the Republic continued to slide into decay, Kit continued to perform his duties, both physical and diplomatic, to the best of his ability. Having long since formed a close friendship with the Master of the Order, Mace Windu, the two would often work alongside each other in times of crisis, notably helping to retake the Fondor system during the power grab of Grudo the Hutt in 23 BBY. Though many masters believed that the Nautolan would serve well on the Jedi High Council, Fisto, true to his humble nature, instead believed himself to be more fit to one day serve on the important but far less acclaimed Council of Reconciliation, which was a gathering of 5 master consulars tasked with negotiating with political factions both inside and outside of the Galactic Senate. This passion for diplomacy was perhaps most strongly reflected in Kit's and fellow Jedi Master Luminara Unduli's time as personal Jedi advisors to Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, a role that had once been filled by the late Master Jeruis Sabayoth when Palpatine was still a senator. In 22 BBY, after Count Dooku revealed himself as the leader of the newly minted Confederacy of Independent Systems, Kit Fisto was one of over 200 Jedi that accompanied Mace Windu to rescue Jedi Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Senator Padme Amidala from execution on Geonosis. Kit carved his way through waves of battle droids, his ever-present smile on his lips, as though the horrific battle was nothing more than a friendly jest. The Aquatic Master would also have an encounter with a battle droid equipped with a certain protocol droid's head, which he wasted no time in pinning to the ground before moving on. One of the few Jedi still standing when the survivors were shepherded into the center of the Petranaki arena, Fisto stood ready to die with his allies when several Latu gunships dropped from the sky, piloted by the newly formed clone army of the Republic. Kit boarded Grandmaster Yoda's ship along with fellow survivors Masters Windu and Ki-Adi-Mundi. Landing on the desert plains near the Trade Federation starships, Fisto helped lead the Grand Army against the remaining Separatist droid army during what would become known as the opening battle of the Clone Wars. As the Jedi Master Coleman Trebor had been one of many Jedi killed in the arena, Kit was offered the Vrook's seat on the Jedi Council, a position he gratefully, though likely reluctantly, accepted, sitting in on many of the Council's most important sessions during the war. Taking up the mantle of a Jedi General, Kit Fisto was assigned to lead clone troopers on many important fronts throughout the war. Due to his Nautolan heritage, as well as his mastery and, in some cases, creation of many water-based force powers, the Master was often dispatched to worlds of aquatic makeup, though this by no means made his service on land any less useful. After the Quarren faction of the planet Dak broke off from their neighbors to form the pro-CIS Quarren Isolation League, Fisto led a team of clone scuba troops into the depths of the world's oceans. The ensuing battle was fierce, Master Fisto utilizing practically every skill in his vast arsenal to crush the combined Quarren and droid forces, even going as far as to single-handedly cripple a giant crab cannon with his Force Water Orb technique. Kit would end his first deployment on Dak after he discovered that the Isolation League had briefly come back into being under the leadership of a strange jellyfish-like creature known as Mopa. Individually, these beings possessed little threat, but upon grouping together, they became a large, super-intelligent beast that was commanding the Quarren through the use of telepathy. Fisto defeated this being by scattering the individual creatures throughout the waters, shortly thereafter forging a new accord on the world that led to joint Quarren Mon Calamari representation in the Senate. Following his mission to Dak, Kit Fisto would be assigned to oversee the training of clone troopers on Kamino alongside fellow Jedi Master Aayla Secura. While little seemed amiss at first, the two Jedi quickly discovered something was wrong when they discovered several dead clone troopers amongst Tapoka City's polished walls. After a lengthy examination by the Kaminoan scientists, they concluded that the troopers in question had been infected by a lethal nanovirus. Realizing that such work could only have been carried out by a traitor, the Jedi combed the facility in an effort to ensure the survival of the Republic's forces. Fisto and Secura traced the traitor and faced off against a group of super battle droids, which were given to the traitor by her allies in the Confederacy. In the resulting skirmish, Secura was thrown off a platform and dragged into the water by one of the destroyed battle droids. Fisto quickly jumped after her, and, being amphibious, breathed for the both of them by locking lips with the Twi'lek. Secura was able to climb up the platform only to be grabbed by the traitor, with the nanovirus injector pointed to her arm. Revealed to be the disillusioned Kaminoan Kuma Nai, Secura was able to break free from her hold and push the injector into the traitor's arm, killing the Kaminoan instantly. With the virus sample in hand, the Jedi resolved to create a vaccine, as well as keep a closer eye on Kamino's internal affairs. This interaction would have a profound effect on both Kit Fisto and Aayla Secura. Though they remained ever faithful to the Jedi Code, the two would share a lasting bond in the Force, and would often exchange words of affection when assigned to missions together. Had circumstances been different, it's not difficult to see what might have been. As the war raged on, Kit would be the first Jedi to engage a new type of droid known simply as the Jedi Killer, manufactured on the acrid planet of Ord Cestus. Though the Nautolan emerged victorious, the Council realized the threat posed by these new automatons, and thus dispatched Fisto and the then Jedi Knight Obi-Wan Kenobi to Cestus in order to put an end to the Jedi Killer's reign before it began. Through many trials and tribulations, the Jedi were able to successfully negotiate an agreement that would sell the biodroids to the Republic. However, the plan soon became to recruit guerrillas to fight in a possible coup against the government. While ultimately successful in their efforts, the mission was not without dangers. Asajj Ventress, Dooku's newly appointed Dark Acolyte, had tracked Kit and Kenobi to the planet and was determined to deliver their heads to her master. Recruiting a group of X-Ting to aid her, Ventress studied the Nautolan's fighting style before he dealt with their ambush. Fisto charged at the Dark Jedi, but by now she had seen all she needed to have seen. Their duel was spectacular, both combatants giving everything they had to overcome the other. But ultimately, Ventress's acquired knowledge gave her the edge she required, and Kit was defeated. He was saved from death by Kenobi, who arrived seconds before Ventress would have finished him. Kenobi, however, would have been beheaded if the near-unconscious Fisto had not quickly returned the favor. Ventress ultimately escaped, though her mission was a failure. Kit lamented his defeat, believing that if he had gone closer to the edge of Form 1, he would have been victorious, though Kenobi rightfully pointed out that doing so would have been dangerous to the Jedi Council Master's spirit. Realizing the truth of these words, Fisto overcame his doubt, and in doing so would form a friendship with Kenobi that lasted until both had become one with the Force. As the Clone Wars reached its peak, Kit Fisto's next trial would involve a reunion with his former apprentice, Nadar Veb. Though the Nautolan had been unable to attend the completion of his trials, Veb was grateful to serve alongside his master as a knight, and was eager to prove himself. Arriving in the Vasek system, the two Jedi were assigned to recapture the escaped Newt Gunray, though they soon found themselves roped into a much more dire mission. Having lost faith in his droid commander, Dooku had engineered the group to walk right into the lair of General Grievous in order to see if the cyborg was still worthy of his post. Nadar was ecstatic at the prospect, but Fisto was more reserved, though he did soon realize he had little choice in the matter at this point. Grievous entered his lair, and the hunt was on. Fisto and Veb faced a myriad of trials in the CIS commander's lair, from traps to droids to even a giant Rogwat monster named Gore. As the carnage drew on, the Jedi Master began to notice a change in his old Padawan. Nadar had always been headstrong, but now he had become ruthless. Veb was greatly angered by his squad of clone troopers, and after seeing the trophies that Grievous had taken from the Jedi he had murdered, even going as far as to attack the cyborg mercilessly during their first encounter, attempting to destroy Grievous despite the fact that the general was pinned to the floor following the amputation of his legs. Despite his anger at his troops, Veb was greatly upset by the death of Commander Phil, swearing retribution on Grievous for the loss. Fisto reprimanded him for his anger, though Veb's views on the matter went unchanged. The war had already taken its toll on the young Jedi, changing the Mon Calamari's outlook on the proper actions for a Jedi. He believed that power was the answer to power, and despite his own reckless nature, Kit could no longer see the compassion behind his former apprentice's eyes. After being separated, Fisto could do nothing but watch in horror as Nadar was slain by Grievous, his lightsaber taken into his Durasteel grip. Now the last one standing, the Jedi Master attempted to escape the lair, but was confronted by Grievous and his Magna Guards on the surface. The Jedi Master and the cyborg then engaged in a brief but intense lightsaber duel, the edge switching between them rapidly. Fisto told Grievous that he may have once been a glorious warrior, but was now just Dooku's pawn. Grievous responded by saying he wielded great power, then attempted to strike him down. Fisto ducked under the blade, then severed one of Grievous's hands, reclaiming Veb's lightsaber in the process, warning that such power would only consume him. Fisto then switched to a Jarkai style of fighting and fended off the cyborg's assault. Despite this, the duel was ultimately rendered inconclusive as the Jedi Master made his escape in his starfighter shortly thereafter. Once back on Coruscant, Fisto reported on the death of Jedi Veb and his failure to arrest Grievous or Gunray to the High Council, the war once again taking a heavy toll on the Nautolan. Years passed, and Kit Fisto would continue to serve on the battlefield in whatever role was required of him. Most notable amongst his accomplishments in the conflict's latter period was his service in the Battle of Rishi, his liberation of Rhodia, as well as his aid to Jedi Masters Mace Windu, Saisi Tin, and Aegon Kolar in the dismantling of the Crimson Nova chapter of the Bounty Hunters Guild, which had taken out a large bounty against the Jedi Order. Due to his prior service, the Nautolan was chosen without haste to take part in the Second Battle of Mon Calamari when the previously established peace talks between the Quarren and Mon Cal broke down. Fighting alongside the Jedi hero Anakin Skywalker and his apprentice Ahsoka Tano, the Nautolan would once again break the backs of the Separatists' hold on the world, even going as far as to save the young Mon Cal prince Lee Char from the monstrous CIS commander Riff Tamson. The year 19 BBY would see some of the most important events in Kit Fisto's life, but also, tragically, his undoing. Recalled to Coruscant by the Council to provide aid to the Jedi Temple, Fisto was at the forefront of General Grievous's assault on the galactic capital. Once again fighting alongside Master Windu, the pair stood at the van of the Republic's and Jedi's counteroffensive, saving many civilians as well as providing guardianship over the Supreme Chancellor. In a rather shocking display of his boldness, Grievous himself jumped onto a high-speed maglev train and tried to pry open the roof of the car in which the Chancellor was secured. Fisto was the first to realize this danger and shot through the hole Grievous had made, followed by Mace Windu. While Mace was dueling Grievous, Fisto took down 2 Magna Guards with ease, further repulsing Grievous's attempt to take the Chancellor. However, their efforts ultimately proved to be in vain. When they heard of Shaak Ti's failure to defeat Grievous and keep him from Palpatine, they attempted to pursue the General's escaping shuttle only to be outmaneuvered. Though the Chancellor would be ultimately saved by the combined efforts of Anakin and Obi-Wan shortly thereafter, the horrific battle would have ripple effects stretching to the furthest ends of the galaxy. Weeks later, Kit would sit in on several council meetings revolving around the Jedi's plan to capture Darth Sidious. Though he said little in these proceedings, the Nautolan would acquiesce to the Council's decision to remove Palpatine from office following the destruction of General Grievous, as well as denying mastery to Skywalker on the basis of his emotional instability. On the eve of the Jedi's confrontation with Palpatine, Anakin revealed the Chancellor to be the Sith Lord Darth Sidious, as well as the perpetrator behind the entire war. Immediately, Mace Windu summoned Kit Fisto, Saesee Tiin, and Agan Kolar to his side, and ordered Anakin to stay behind while they arrested the Dark Lord. As Mace finished readying the temple's defenses, Fisto briefly chatted with Kolar and Tiin in the landing bay before their gunship was to depart to the Chancellor's suite. Nervous, the Nautolan claimed he would have been much calmer if Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi had been with them, fondly recounting his mission with Kenobi on Ord Cestus. Tiin scolded him for this, maintaining that they should be capable of subduing Sidious, and that they were sufficient to the task. Before further discussion could be had, Mace arrived and the 4 council masters boarded their ship. Walking into the office, the Jedi were astonished when the kindly visage of the Chancellor dissolved into a sickening portrait of hate, and a red lightsaber burst forth from his sleeve. With blazing speed and power only a Dark Lord could possess, Sidious made quick work of the gruff Saesee and Agan, decapitating the former and spearing the latter through the skull. Kit and Mace managed to guard against this initial onslaught, but far from easily. One of the most defining lightsaber duels in galactic history had begun. As Anakin Skywalker rushed towards the battleground, he saw the reflected lightning of the combatants' lightsaber blades from afar. Green fans, sheets of purple, and crimson flame. Kit Fisto fought with everything he had, his Shicho barrage clashing against the Dark Lord's bloodlust. But in the end, it was all for naught. Sidious slashed his blade through the Nautolan's neck, and the green fire of his blade faded and winked out. Jedi Master Kit Fisto was dead. As Anakin made his way into the office, the young Jedi laid his eyes on Fisto's severed head, and briefly recalled the Battle of Geonosis and how the Nautolan had faced the horrific battle with his trademark smile. His severed head wore that same smile. Maybe he thought death was funny too. Alright guys, now that we finished sharing Kit Fisto's story, let's end off with some fun facts about the character. Kit Fisto was created for the film Attack of the Clones and was one of many alien characters to be designed by famed illustrator Dermot Power. Originally, his character was designed as a possible mold for a Sith Lord, but after the casting of Christopher Lee as Count Dooku, the idea of having an alien antagonist was dropped. Over the course of the 2 prequel films he appears in, Kit Fisto is played by 3 actors. In Attack of the Clones, he's played by Zach Jensen and Daniel Zamor, and in Revenge of the Sith, he's played by Ben Cook, whom some of you may recognize as one of the stunt doubles for Hayden Christensen. Like many expanded universe characters, Fisto's voice has gone through several different interpretations over the years. His first ever speaking role on screen was in Chapter 21 of the Clone Wars microseries on March 21st, 2005. In his sequences, he is portrayed with a direct American accent. However, when the character makes his second animated debut in Season 1, Episode 10 of the Star Wars The Clone Wars series on December 12th of 2008, he is portrayed with a distinctly Jamaican accent. Apparently, Phil Lamar based his performance on the 7-Up guy. Okay. Kit's lightsaber features what is known as a bifurcating ignition pulse. This is the special mechanism that allows the weapon to function underwater, an attribute that standard sabers fail to address. While many claim that the Nautilin's use of the weapon in the Micro series is the first instance of a lightsaber being used underwater, this is not true, as the actual first instance came in the young reader's novel Young Jedi Knights: Crisis at Crystal Reef by Kevin J. Anderson and Rebecca Moesta, and published on December 1st, 1998. Keeping with the saber facts, while Kit Fisto's lightsaber color is officially canonized as green, there have been several instances where the blade has been incorrectly depicted as blue. The most notable case likely being in the novel Labyrinth of Evil by James Luceno, published on January 25th, 2005. Nick Gillard, the primary lightsaber stuntman and actor behind the Battlemaster Sin Drolig, views Kit's hilt as one of his personal favorites in design, so much so that he actually uses it as his own during his brief appearance on screen. Though the two have never actually fought in canon at any point, Kit Fisto was pitted against Darth Maul in a hypothetical duel in the young reader's book Star Wars Head-to-Head. In the book, Fisto is the one determined to be the victor, though me and my friends have something to say about that. Finally, as some of you may have noticed with the story, the depictions of Fisto's death in Revenge of the Sith differ drastically between the film and novelization. In the film, the Jedi Master is cleaved through the stomach after a short engagement, while in the book, he is beheaded after a slightly longer engagement. Personally, I view the novel's depiction as the superior version since it gives a little more agency to the character to have him fight longer, and beheading is a much more gruesome tactic befitting a Sith Lord like Sidious. Or that just could be the inner dark side in me. Well guys, I hope you enjoyed this exploration into the story of Kit Fisto. I definitely want to know what you think of this new style for the Story of series, as well as what characters you'd like me to cover next. May the Force be with you, stay safe, and I'll see you guys later.